Much has been written over the last several months about PG&E and the smart meter program. We thought we'd take a moment here to share some of our observations and learnings. The one thing I would like to highlight for everyone is the importance of the flexibility of this technology and the continuing upgradability of this technology. As you all know, at PG&E, we are really on the forefront of a lot of this. This is evolving constantly. The standards are changing when you think about the smart energy and smart grid standards, and the understandings of the technology continue to evolve, and your deployment approach and your operations need to be able to handle that. This is not a fire and shoot, one and done type of transition. This is a transition that occurs over multiple years, and the flexibility of your technology will be very, very important. The consumer aspects of this are also super critical. I've touched on that to some degree, but you absolutely, as has now been seen in Texas and with our own experiences here in California, this is not an invisible transition to customers like much of what we have done in the past with utilities has been. The benefits of smart meter and smart grid have been well publicized. The public is well aware in many cases of the stated benefits of that, and the customer outreach approaches have absolutely got to be rigorous and well informed as you go through this. Again, we are delivering, a great number of new opportunities for customers and raising really the expectation around energy efficiency from and moving it into the realm of customer behavioral change, and how you bring customers along and how you change the relationship of the utility with the consumer so that they understand and appreciate the value that they're getting through this, and the policy and societal benefits of this transition are absolutely critical. And that puts a great deal of stress and importance on the customer service side of the organization to help customers move through that transition. And again, I'll leave you with the last point, which Susan or Brian or Bernie made previously, is this is not, you understand the 2B today and you move there in a single step. The change that you'll take your workforce through over the course of many years as part of this initiative will go through a series of evolutionary steps as you gain experience with the technologies and as your customers react and gain experience with the change in the business models and the technology as well. Jesse, any questions?
Yes, thanks, Bill. Very helpful. And we are running a little long, but we're going to stick around and answer a few of your questions, and I hope you can stay with us. And Bill, I'll ask a question here, but then ask the other panelists to chime in as well. We've talked about attract and retain. On the retain side, how do you upskill your employees?
Yeah, we've really worked very, very closely with our employees in an extensive change management component to our smart meter initiative to train them on the new technologies, and that includes our IT workforces, our customer service workforces, and our field workforces in cooperation with the IBEW. And because there are absolutely new technical skills and acceptance of working with technology that you have to bring your workforce through.
Brian, Bernie, or Susan, anything to add there in terms of retention techniques?
This is Bernie, and I would second what Bill has said with respect to, and I only address one component of the workforce, and that's call centers. Customer service representatives have, in my opinion, one of the toughest jobs in the world, and are one of the best work groups is adapting to change. And while, as Bill pointed out, a lot of transactions are more complex, the implementation of an interval database that allows reps to access that, and they seem to have a intuitive appreciation for the value of that data in terms of resolving customer issues. And I've had on any number of occasions reps who are working with an interval database from a smart grid implementation have mentioned how much more confidence they have in dealing with customers, and how much more credible they feel with customers as a result of having access to that data. So not a specific retention point, but the feedback that I've had is that they certainly welcome that tool in terms of making it easier to do some aspects of their job.
Yeah, and Jesse, building on what Bernie said, because I think that's absolutely critical. One is, as Brian pointed out, there are going to be key critical skills, whether they are core and really need to exist across the organization, or whether they are very specific and pointed, for example, within IT or within the field or within the call center, and really making sure that you first have clarity on what those key skills are and who has them within the organization, and where you have gaps. That's certainly the first step I would recommend, and that we've seen. The second is, for those individuals with those key critical skills, truly going back to, as Brian mentioned, the stakeholder management concept, and understanding for those individuals what motivates them, what are their values, and then creating a retention scheme that builds on the strategy you're trying to achieve for your smart grid agenda. Is very much in alignment with that, whether it is monetary or non-monetary, depending upon what motivates those individuals, and then tying it back to things that will ultimately help them serve the customer better, help them do their job better, et cetera. As Bernie mentioned, those kinds of things actually can be positioned as much, much more effective retention tools if we understand what motivates and really keeps the individuals with those key critical skills supported and happy.